Okay, thanks for the commenters on the last video for these suggestions. So just a reminder, I haven't seen any of these questions myself. I've just been hearing them from bits and bobs, students, other tutors, or just on the internet. So I really appreciate any suggestions on things I can cover. So about the last video, really appreciate the support on it. Wasn't expecting it. It's the first of its kind. Never done anything like that before. And if you want even more of that, please just give a like or just comment suggestions on more stuff you want me to cover. So yeah, anything coming up in a paper 2 and paper 3s, any questions that you guys have struggled on, or just anything you guys can remember from paper 1s that have already been so far. I can cover all boards, Edexcel, AQA, OCR, all the materials pretty similar. With that said, we'll get to the questions that have been laid out to me by last week's commenters. Okay, so the first question is from Maximus Econ. This question's about the one where there's 2 exams to pass the first aid, and then they give you the theory pass probability, which is 0.75, and they give you the probability of passing only 1 test, which is 0.36. And you should have been asked for the probability of passing just a practical, so the other exam. So just for this, there's not too much prerequisite knowledge, just to know that the 2 probabilities together and like probability 1, probability 2, probability 1 and 2, you multiply them, or if you want a probability of 2 scenarios, but it's an or situation, so scenario 1 or scenario 2, you add them, and then all probabilities add to 1 when we talk about decimals, or 100% when we're talking about percentages. Okay, so just to be clear, the commenter here, they weren't sure to the exact wording, or maybe not the exact numbers, but whatever that is, the principle and the idea of solving this should be exactly the same. So we've also been told that events are independent, so passing 1 test would not affect the probability of passing other tests, so sequencing and all that doesn't matter. So our first step would just be assign a variable for what we're trying to solve. We can just call it x, because that's just common. So x is the probability of passing the practical. So that's what we're trying to get, okay? And we can represent everything in terms of x. So then our second step would be, because remember everything's independent, let's just consider all the different scenarios there could be. So there's 2 independent events, so there's 4 combinations. Let's label them for ease. You don't have to do this in your exam, but and I'm going to use shorthand, P for practical and T for theory. So, and in no particular order, they go. The scenarios are pass practical, pass theory. Another scenario is pass practical as well, but fail theory. Okay, and 3. So we've done two possible passing practicals. Okay, let's do fail practical, fail theory. Okay, and finally, pass. Oopsies. Sorry, 2 passes and not fail practical, pass theory. Okay, so we now have the 4 possible scenarios here. So the next step would be looking at, okay, so we know the probability of a certain set of scenarios, like passing only 1 test is 0.36. So which one of these satisfies passing only 1 test? So it's either pass 1, fail 1, or fail 1, pass 1. So it's this one and this one. So you know that these 2, they add to become 0.36. Okay, so that's our next step then. Okay, so we can write this out in an equation. Okay, so scenarios 2 and scenario 4. Okay, so 2 and 4. Adding them together, so scenario 2, let's write it out, so passing the practical, so we can just call that x, so these brackets are necessary but going to help us compartmentalize information. So we have x times failing theory, so 1 minus this, which is 0.25, because remember all probabilities add up to 1 and you can only pass or fail in this scenario, in these scenarios. Okay, so that's how, so this is just scenario 2 by itself, but it's scenario 2 or 4. So then plus, don't have to label it like that, but scenario 4. Okay, so well, we've got scenario 4. Fail practical, pass theory. So failing practical is going to be 1 minus x, because you can only pass or fail the practical. So both of them add up to 1. Okay, so it involves 1 minus x times 0.75, because it's passing theory. That equals 0.36 based on the information we've been given. So we can expand this and combine like terms. I'll do it a bit slowly first. So this just goes to 0.25x plus, so we multiply the whole bracket by 0.75, so it's plus 0.75 minus 0.75x equals 0.36. Okay, so here let's combine on like terms then. So plus 25 minus 25x, so that's gonna get you to minus 0.5x. Okay, so we combine those two, and then we can move 0.75 over to the other side, so we get minus 0.39, and we can cancel out the minuses, so it just becomes this. So now we want to isolate x, so we got 0.5x equals 0.39, so you just double 0.39 to get your answer. So x equals 0.78. There you go, there's your answer. That's the probability of passing the practical, based on the information we've been given. Okay, so this bit isn't necessary for the exam, but it's just to give us proof of concept, and maybe in the real exam, had you enough time finished at the end of it, and you can check. This is something you can do to check, but this really isn't necessary. There's just a bit of extra proof to make sure we've done everything right. So we've got our answer of 0.78 as passing the practical, probability of passing the practical, and we have the probability of passing only one test is 0.36. So therefore we know the two scenarios that can only do this is pass practical times fail theory, or, so that's and then now or, fail practical times pass theory should equal to 0.36. So we can actually write this out in full. So here we have 0.75 times 1 minus our answer, which is 0.22. Again, these brackets are necessary, but they're just going to help us compartmentalize stuff. Fail practical, which is 1 minus 0.75, so 0.25 times 0.78, our answer. That should equal to 0.36. So this is especially why I wouldn't do this in the real exam, because to check it, and maybe you're watching this in the future and you got stuck on this question, but this is during your practice, so to give yourself peace of mind, because they are quite difficult multiplications, double digits and the decimals. But I can just tell you here that the answer here is 0.165 for this one, plus 0.195, and they do add up to 0.36. So our answer computes, it's all good, okay? Okay, so this question comes courtesy from someone called Dust Duke or Dust Duck 28, double K. not sure an exact question, but the specifics aren't important to solve this because it's just an algebraic proof. Okay, so actually need to label the semicircles. Yeah, I don't know which one is B, which one is C, but it doesn't matter. Like they're just two non-hypotenuse sides of right angle triangle, and so they're pretty interchangeable. Okay, so here we have a right angle triangle with semicircles A, B, and C. Again, they're very crudely drawn, and we need to prove that the areas of A equals B plus C. Okay, so the two smaller semicircles equals the hypotenuse semicircle. So in terms of prerequisite knowledge, there's just two things: basic Pythag and basic semicircle area. Alright, so the first step, I don't know if the question assigns sides or not, but we will do so if it doesn't, and if it does, we can use the ones they've been assigned, but let's just call these two sides x and y. Doesn't matter which one's which. Okay, so therefore the hypotenuse must be this, based on Pythagoras' theorem, x squared plus y squared, root that, and you get the hypotenuse. Okay, so let's express, in terms of x and y, let's express the area of A. Okay, so bear in mind these are all areas. Okay, so that's just a bit of shorthand. So A equals, so let's just write it here. So semicircle area is pi r squared over 2, because it's just half of a circle. Okay, so so we have this, but we have to convert diameter into radii first as well. So it's just halving everything. So we'll do pi times the radius, which is this, over 2 squared, and then the whole thing divided by 2. Okay, so x squared plus y squared over 2 squared, and the whole thing divided by 2 because it's a semicircle. So simplify this out, it would be pi times, so this square is just this times itself, so it's, keep this little bracket, over 4 divided by 2, which becomes pi x squared plus y squared over 8. We can write it like this, or we can write it like this. They mathematically mean the same thing. So just pick one. I'll just pick this one arbitrarily, but remember they mathematically mean the same thing. Okay, so let's find the area of B then. And B and C, they're actually interchangeable. So both the diameters are either x or y. So you can actually look ahead a bit and say, okay, I can find one and I can just literally replace x with y or y with x. So let's do B first, okay? And okay, so area of B, okay, hopefully there's enough space here. So equals pi times radius, which is x over 2, squared, divided by 2. So the area of B is pi times x squared over 4 divided by 2, and if you simplify that, that becomes pi x squared over 8. Hopefully that's clear. So therefore, the area of C is just replace the x over y, so it's that. Okay, so just label these out, so we're here to see. So we have to prove that the area of A is just the area of B plus C. So let's just add them together then, okay? So we'll add B and C together. So B plus C. Okay, so we got pi x squared over 8. Well, already have a common denominator, so that's great. Pi y squared over 8. So it just becomes, okay, there's not enough space to do this here, so it just becomes pi x squared plus pi y squared over 8. Now you can take out pi as a common factor of the top one, so you just get pi x squared plus y squared. Great. And there's the proof. Running out of pens, colors here, but these equal. So yeah, there you go. That's how you would solve this question. Any questions further, please let me know. Again, and also left the plug all the way to the end. Maybe that's not the most savvy businessman move, but I am a private tutor by trade, so if you like my teaching style, hopefully you like my teaching style more than my video making skills, you can check on my tutoring page. It's in the description below, and papers 2 and 3 are coming up soon. If there's any tricky questions from those that you want me to go through on this channel, I'll happily do that. Or if there's any from paper 1s that are still lagging, that are still out there, by all means, hit me up and I'll be happy to tackle them. Right, best of luck the rest of your exams.